Boris Johnson's plan to override a key part of last year's EU withdrawal agreement could lead to a right royal mess, an expert in international dispute resolution at the British Academy has claimed. Ministers are drawing up plans for new legislation that could override a key part of the withdrawal agreement. The move could change the nature of new Northern Ireland customs arrangements intended to prevent a return to checks at the border with the Irish Republic. A Downing Street spokesman said it was a standby plan in case the trade talks between the UK and the EU fail. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Boris Johnson said that, if a trade deal is not reached by October 15, both sides should move on, which would still be a good outcome. Although the UK formally left the EU in January, it has continued to follow rules set in Brussels during a transition period, which ends on December 31 while discussions over a long-term trade agreement continue. Another round of talks, the 8th, begins today, but neither side is expecting a breakthrough. As tensions are set to rise in the incoming weeks, an expert in international dispute resolution at the British Academy shed light on the consequences Britain would have to face if Mr. Johnson decides to rewrite the withdrawal agreement. Professor Holger Hestermeyer argued the move could lead to a right royal mess. He wrote on Twitter, "National law that is passed in contradiction of treaty obligations cannot overwrite these obligations, as it is in breach of them. The proposal to do this is the proposal to violate international law." A Twitter user then asked, "Can EU law that is passed in contradiction of international treaty obligations override them?" Mr. Hestermeyer responded, "No. But it would again result in a dualism problem. Which is this: national courts in what are called dualist systems, most states for treaty law purposes, have to apply national law and EU law if EU member states. They can only apply international law if there's an act making the international law rule applicable. The outcome then is that the national courts will apply national law plus EU law, but this will violate international obligations."